biblically accurate angels. Have you seen that? You need to type biblically accurate angels.
I saw a meme.
And his awareness
There
of
we
all
go.
things. Yeah, it's pretty wild, isn't it?
That reaction is what I was looking for.
Oh my.
Cue that.
What in the world?
All right, everybody, before we dive into today's episode, we have some exciting news to share.
That's right. The Casting Faith podcast has officially partnered with
First Form,
your go-to for the best energy drinks, greens, protein bars, beef sticks, and much more to fuel your fitness and wellness journey.
Whether you're hitting the gym or heading out on the water or just trying to feel better every day, First Form has you covered. It doesn't matter if you're keto, if you're vegan, whatever diet you're on, they have you covered. Think premium protein products, top-tier vitamins, and even these delicious energy drinks that fuel this podcast.
Here's the best part. When you shop through the link in our bio, you're not just investing in your health, you're helping the Casting Faith podcast and supporting us to bring you more content.
So go ahead and check it out. Grab what you need because they have you covered, and let's tackle this faith, fitness, wellness journey. Whatever you're on, this is the stuff that will fuel you. And let's dive into today's episode.
I challenge you as a believer, let that power get out.
Blind people received their sight. People have been carried in. We're healed. Nobody touched them. Nobody laid a hand on them. We just praised the Lord and spoke the word of faith, and God began to heal the people.
Here's a fish.
Yeah, let's go!
Oh my gosh, he's a pig.
He landed inside.
He kept me from. Scott, look how massive this is.
The Casting Faith podcast.
Push on.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Casting Faith podcast. We have David Himes back with us. Pound for pound rankings king in our episode. So we're glad he's here. Things are about...
Who's that?
Hello, it's people. Things
I'm
are
silly.
about to get weird.
Yeah.
Maybe not weird.
It's the weird episode.
But yeah, we're so glad you're back with us today, and we are actually video recording, so
I love it. I'm going to stare at the camera as much as I can.
stare at it as much as you can. Get a load of that. Well, it's going to be a fun and engaging episode. We're excited that you're here. Today's conversation is going to be kind of all over the place. We're talking biblical mysteries, current events, fitness journeys, and faith-driven discussions. So, let's just take a second and catch up. How's everybody doing?
I'm good. Nothing really new.
I mean, I'm good.
Anything new?
Nothing crazy. Nothing really new.
You hear any more sounds on the reservoir?
Oh
I
my
haven't.
goodness.
I got to say, I have not been out fishing since it's been sub-zero for the past 2 weeks.
Man, it's been tough. Tough with the weather, man. I can't remember what episode it was, but we were talking about the last polar vortex and how I remember I was at your house, before we were married. Not me and you, obviously. Obviously. Hillary and I were married. We went to David and Brittany's house a lot, and it was a polar vortex. It was 2014, I think, or 2013, something like that. And man, it was so cold. We blew bubbles outside, and the bubbles would freeze into ice.
We threw a pot of boiling water in the air, and it froze.
Did you see the reel of the kid who did that, and it wasn't cold enough, and just boiling water just fell on him, and he just crumbled under the weight of it?
Did you see the video of Florida,
That's
the
not
lady
funny.
trying to melt the ice off of her deck with hot water?
That's
How fast till that freezes?
Right?
man.
There's an ocean right there. Just grab the salt water.
Yeah.
It's like the same kind of people who try to put out a grease fire with water.
I've done that.
Yeah. Did you ever have to take home economics? in
I
school?
did. I took it 2 years in a row. One time as an
I
elective.
understand why you went 2 years in a row. No, grease fires with water.
So I lived in if the church owns the house?
Parsonage.
Yeah, okay. So I lived in the church parsonage at North Charleston, and I had an electric stove. I was probably 18, 19 years old. 19 or 20. And I was cooking hamburger helper because it's like really the only thing I know how to cook. And it caught on fire, and me and my roommate were freaking out, and I just grabbed as much water as I could, and
And it just blew up.
it didn't. It
Really,
went
man?
out. Yeah, I was But
Man.
it was definitely grease because it was an electric
That,
stove.
that doesn't make any sense at all.
No,
It
it
should have went
doesn't.
up in flames. And
It's the parsonage, just blessed by God.
yeah.
There you go.
So some things are just going to remain a mystery,
Yeah.
like how that worked out for you. But that's what we're kind of dive into that a little bit today. Not grease fires or cold weather, but just those things that kind of don't
But
make
mysteries.
sense. Mysteries, things that we can't really figure out.
Yeah, like how Sean, the most unfit person, has this first form sponsorship.
Yeah. Yep.
Hey, these are delicious, by the way. Like
They're
blue
man.
raspberry,
They're
very
good.
good.
I got
Very
a
good.
cherry
Impressed.
limeade.
I'm in
and-
it for the energy drinks.
No, dude. Everything. I will say this, even if they weren't a sponsor, because I buy protein drinks and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Protein bars, protein drinks, all the thing. Energy drinks, of course. From our last episode, you know that I need caffeine to keep my heart going. And so it's nice to find a healthier energy drink that actually tastes good. And I have not had a single product yet that I didn't like.
Yeah.
And so
Same.
the mixability and the protein, it's like, some people will say you can mix it with a spoon, and then you try and it's all clumpy and
Gritty.
nasty and gritty.
Yeah.
There's no grit to this protein or the greens. It just mixes so smoothly.
I wouldn't know. I'm afraid to try it.
He needs to try it. He needs to try it. The protein bars are hands down the best.
They're
protein-
like cake.
The
It's like
peanut butter.
cake.
I might eat one right now, but the peanut butter bar is bomb. It is amazing. 20 grams of protein, 260 calories. It's solid. It's solid. So you'll see our affiliate link in the show notes, and you can find that also on our socials. If you are in a fitness journey of any kind or doing anything like that, or you just want to eat a little healthier, where you consume energy drinks or you do all of this, might as well go with the leading supplement company out there in First Form. And you could also help us and support our show that way. And so we'd be grateful if you could check them out. The Faith in Fitness Journey. Sean, tell us about how you're doing. Since our sponsorship deal, we've both had a reignition of our fitness goals and journeys, and
Yeah.
Sean's seen some progress. And so tell the people.
Well, I still have no chin, but I'm working on it. Someday I'll have a chin again.
Maybe by the end of this 3-month deal, you'll have a
Could be. I just started doing intermittent fasting and eating between 12 and 6 and staying below 1,500 calories.
That's not sustainable, but
I'm feeling
That's
great.
something to start.
Yeah, I'm feeling fine.
it's all right.
I've thought about adding greens to it.
You should.
These are chocolate flavored. They might actually be.
You
pretty
could
good.
mix that with your protein drink.
Yeah.
Mix it in, and it would
So
probably be really
the
good.
problem is I don't do any kind of workouts. I don't know if I would. I probably would. I could find time for it, but
You could find time.
it's just I don't want to go to a gym. I don't want any part of that.
Go to the
And
gym here.
so, yeah, it's just tough. My workout is fishing, hiking.
And that's a legit. Man,
It is. It
that's
is.
a
And
legit
drumming.
thing.
There's something to be said about being more physically fit too before you go into the woods.
Yeah.
It is a big help.
Oh
A
yeah.
big help. You feel a lot better. You feel, honestly, and I know it sounds corny, but you feel stronger. You feel better about yourself while you're out there too.
Right.
And that's been something huge for me as I kind of got more into the whole fitness thing about a year ago. Honestly, for my mental health, just it's helped me really deal with stress and anxiety, and it's like my wind down after I get off work. After I log out for the day, I go into the other room, and kids know, my wife knows that that's my time, that I'm just gonna spend about an hour. I'm gonna work out, I'm gonna lift, and then after that I'll come up, take a shower, and we'll have dinner and just go about our night. But it gives me time to wind down. It puts me in a better mental state before I go to my kids and my family. It's been great for me. I love it.
You know,
Yeah, I mean, you look
I've never
good.
really thought about it like that because that's something I struggle with is coming home ready to be engaged.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe there's more to it than just like
Oh, definitely.
working out.
It's helped me out tremendously,
Yeah.
honestly. Like, not even from a physical standpoint. I mean, physically I feel better, but mentally I feel so much better now that I'm working out consistently. I have a routine down. And I mean, you see the results, but you feel them mentally as well, for sure.
Yeah, that's probably the most convincing argument to work out that I've heard.
There you go.
All right.
There you go.
Journey begun.
I always see it as like, oh, I want to bulk up or I want to cut weight, and never really about the mental side of it. And
those are good side effects. I mean, but that's why I do it. And I will tell you, as you kind of get started, it is kind of like that checkbox for a couple weeks. But once you get through that and you get into that routine, it gets so easy, and you get to the point where you feel bad when you don't.
Yeah.
So
this is kind of ties into it a little bit.
like
But
it.
do you remember the last time you did a extended fast? And there's like there's a period in that time. For me, it's usually around day 3, where I start to feel amazing, and I think, man, I don't want to end this, because mentally I feel clear. The brain fog's gone. Everything feels good. I feel more in alignment with God. All the things feel right. You kind of get a similar feeling when you're working towards getting in shape and you're in a set routine of things.
I mean, I used to work out a lot. So So I trained for, I don't know if anybody knows this, but I trained for the Highway Patrol back in 2011. I was getting started, and I trained pretty heavy for like a year, and ended up, it was God that stopped it, but my official date for whatever it was, I don't even remember, was May 5th, 2012. And I was busy that Saturday getting married. So
there you go. And you also said 2012. Thought that was kind of fun.
Well,
you said that.
2012.
Speaking of brain fog.
Well, I need to work out. 2012. That's
20.
a long time from now.
Yeah.
It was a year before I got married. Crazy.
Yeah, 2012. May 5th, 2012. And so I got married that day instead of doing, I forget what it was, on the Highway Patrol in Columbus somewhere for something. But yeah, I worked out a lot. I was obviously I was single in 2011, and I had plenty of time because I lived by myself. So
yeah,
I was always at the gym or fishing, one of the two.
Yeah. So I've been getting up. Oh, I'm glad you weren't. I'm glad everything worked out the way it did.
Yeah.
But when you reignite that fitness goal,
it
makes
the
you a better
end
person.
goal. I'm not really had anything to look like. That drove me because there was something to strive for. So I don't really have that now. But that, what you explained, gives me something to possibly strive for, because I know that when I get home from work, I'm not. Sometimes I'll just sit in the car. Remember Brother Wrench talked about touching the tree and getting grounded when he got home. Like, so that stuck with me a lot, but that is something else. You know?
It makes me better for my family.
Yeah, that's important.
That's the biggest thing, I think, too. We want to be in shape and look good and all the things, but like the biggest thing is I'm all about doing whatever it takes to become better for my family.
Yep.
And I noticed that when I'm praying and when I'm fasting, when I'm doing my devotion and when I'm lifting in a good routine, I'm just a better person, and it helps. And so I think everybody out there, everybody starts at different places, and David, dude, you look incredible. You've been getting compliments from everybody, I'm sure, but like me and David both started doing this thing about a year or two ago where we were both getting back on the grind of everything, and I fell off, admittedly, a little bit. I had some family things we talked about on another episode that kind of sent me down a Little Debbie pathway.
I love Little Debbie.
They're good. Honey buns.
But
what's your go-to? Honey buns?
Honey buns.
Oh, wow.
Me, man.
Double-decker oatmeal cream pie, baby.
I mean, oatmeal cream pies. So Walmart.
He just
Wait a second.
he felt it.
Walmart has, the little like tubs of ice cream.
Yeah.
They have oatmeal cream pie, Little Debbie ice. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Ice cream with low.
Wow.
So
that's an entire day's worth of calories.
It
for
is
one serving.
I tried to pace myself. It was one of the little, I don't even know what size. One of the little ones. You know what I'm talking about. And I spaced it out over a week.
Wow.
But I'm pretty sure that I could have
talk about discipline.
Yeah.
Man, eat the whole thing.
I can't. Is the ones that are like this big, is that a gallon or half gallon?
Pint?
Or pint?
I don't know.
Half gallon.
Yeah, like the normal size Breyer's ice cream. Like That's one. I can do that in one sitting. Definitely Ben and Jerry's. That's definitely one.
Dude,
So I don't want to tell you now that you're trying to get started on this, but that was oatmeal cream pie and Little Debbie ice creams. Oh my gosh.
there's lots of.
Do you believe in cheat days?
Yeah, I do. Reward
So
yourself.
I don't think it's a cheat day thing. For me, mix it in, but just do it in
Moderation.
I mean, I tried to do more of a high protein diet, and I've cut out a lot of sugar, but as long as you do it in moderation, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. At least for me.
I just don't want to stop progress. So I've lost 9 pounds in 10 days.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's great.
Man.
Well,
That's really good.
more if you're counting like the water weight.
Yeah.
Because it was more, and then like I re-weighed like during my calibration time.
Well, you got your watch that tracks your step. Like hit a step goal, and that's a good place to do some push-ups.
I would say though,
I can't do
Once
push-ups
that-
anymore right now.
once that plateaus, though, don't be discouraged because it will.
No,
Just don't let that discourage you.
Yeah.
and the answer is not always eating less.
No, it's just eating better.
You got to eat better, and you got to do something that you enjoy for exercise.
Yeah.
Whether it's you got that bike upstairs, that's something.
Yeah.
But man, speaking of ice cream, so this is a cheat code. Take some of that first form formula protein, and you mix it with a tub of sugar-free whipped cream, or a couple servings of sugar-free whipped cream, and some yogurt.
I do mine with just yogurt.
Dude, mix the whipped cream in there and put it in the freezer for about 20 minutes, and then stir it up. It's like like the peanut butter pies from Marie Callender. No, that's my
Yeah, I know what
guilty
you're
thing.
talking
I'll eat a whole one. But bro, it's so good. It's like it's unbelievable.
I'll do just yogurt and a little bit of raw honey.
I've been slamming raw honey lately.
Get that local stuff, man.
But anyways, if you guys are listening and you're we're just normal guys trying to be better, and so First Form helps us out a lot with that. Gives us a little bit of room to grow. We got these beef sticks and some protein bars and some protein drinks. They're really
sticks
good.
are good.
Yeah, they're solid.
They tried to get me to eat one while we did this, and I just didn't think that would be the best.
It's
I ate
good.
it with mac and cheese the other night.
Really.
It's good, like hot dogs and mac and cheese almost.
Man.
Like
Sean has the
Get that West
palate.
Virginia out.
He's got the palate of a 5-year-old. He's like, hey, First Form, if you come out with Dino Nuggies, he's your guy. Like, we'll sell
Hey,
millions.
all right. So speaking of Dino Nugget, you remember when my wife went to Pennsylvania or something like last summer, and she had some stuff going on, and so me and Trenton were home by ourselves for a couple weeks, right? And our grocery list was Dino Nuggies, Uncrustables, French fries, and fish sticks.
Have you seen the? I think it was on a reel.
Amanda caught us in the it was Amanda.
Oh.
Amanda caught us in the grocery store when we she's
Just
like
shakes
going
her
through
head.
the stuff, and she's like, checks out.
Hey, no, Uncrustables though, that is my favorite fishing snack.
Dude.
Like, I'll take a couple Uncrustables in my bag, and that's my.
I saw a reel. I haven't tried it yet because I'm trying to do better. But I saw a reel, and they French toasted
Ooh.
an Uncrustable. And that's diabolical. Like, dude, what in the world? And it looked so good. So a French toast Uncrustable.
We gotta stop talking about this.
My mouth
Gluttony
is
a
watering.
sin.
Yeah.
Have you ever got the Krispy Kreme cheeseburger at the Ohio State Fair?
I did from
Nope.
Firestone.
Nope, I won't do it.
Firehouse,
good.
not Firestone. Firehouse. I had the. I kind of felt wrong.
No, I love salt.
Feels like an abomination.
It did. It
Sweet
felt.
and
It
meat.
felt wrong. It
No,
felt
they're
like.
sweet and savory. No, there's something. to be
I
said
mean,
for
it was
that.
good. It just. I felt like it was not. It was not good. All things.
You
aren't-
felt the arteries clogging.
Yeah,
up.
yeah. It just felt like, it wasn't a sin. But was it helpful? What did Paul
Pushing
say?
the edge of gluttony here.
Right? Was it helpful? All things are permissible for me, but do we need the donut burger?
Speaking of all of this awesome food, First Form.
Yeah, Yeah. So there's a health. I guess what I'm trying to say is there's a healtridge alternative to all those things.
We might get our sponsorship pulled.
No. We're
We're
just real people living real lives, and this helps. This helps bridge that. For some people, it's like an impossible gap. Like
It isn't impossible.
you know, but you just got to start, and that's the biggest thing for your mental health, for your physical health, for your longevity. You know how many people, you know, especially Christians, man, and even some ministers, you know, their lives are cut short. Their ministry is cut short because they didn't take care of the temple.
Yeah.
And this will be a whole nother episode, and we'll do another episode about this, you know, but I think it's important that we you know, honor God with our body, you know, and try to treat it better.
All right, folks, listen up. Have you ever felt like you're running on empty? Whether it's early mornings in the creek or late nights chasing your goals, we've got the answer for you. First Form.
That's right. First Form is the ultimate fuel to keep you strong, focused, and feeling your best. From high-quality protein to pre-workouts and multivitamins, they've got everything you need to tackle your day head-on.
And here's the kicker. When you order through our link, you're not just taking care of yourself, but you help keep this podcast going strong. Together, we're chasing faith, fitness, wellness, and the next big catch.
So what are you waiting for? Check out the link in our bio or show notes. Get the good stuff, support the Casting Faith podcast, and let's crush some goals together.
But that's not what this episode's about.
Man,
We're gonna move.
it sounds so much better right now when
It does
the
sound
furnace
good.
is off.
Yeah. Edited in post.
Goodness. If you like the noise of the furnace, just give a thumbs up.
It's kind of comforting.
If you don't like the noise of the furnace, give a thumbs up.
It soothes me.
5-star reviews only.
Yeah. I don't actually care. Give me a 3-star. Give me a 2-star. Just
Don't do that. Don't listen.
even a 1. I don't care. It's all good for us. It's all engagement, and that's all that matters. And I'm kidding. All right, but let's dive into this episode, okay? I got some topics that I want to talk about.
Keep it weird, man.
Yeah, we're gonna get. Yeah. All right, keep it playing. I like it. I like it. Let's dive into this topic, okay? Here we are in 2025, and technology is advancing at the speed we can't even keep up with. But here's the kicker. We're not just talking about the latest iPhone or Sean's robot car in a Tesla. We're not talking about that kind of technology, but we're talking about government-backed AI initiative that could change everything. We're talking like when electricity was invented, it changed the whole world. And now we have this AI thing, and it's called the Stargate initiative. And it's setting the stage for what could be the next great leap in humanity's understanding of the world, and maybe even understanding some of our past. Have you guys heard of Stargate, the Stargate initiative that Trump ordered in?
So I haven't. I haven't heard much. I guess I haven't heard much about it. I saw something about him signing it. The whole AI thing, I mean, it scares me, I'm gonna be honest. It's definitely helpful. Like super helpful when it comes to like productivity and like almost everybody uses some form of AI every day at this point, which is crazy how 2 years ago it was kind of unheard of or super new, and now it's integrated into our life in a crazy fast way.
I went from I didn't want Alexa. I was like, they're listening. I don't like it.
For sure.
I don't like it. I don't want. Who are you, Alexa? I still don't have Alexa, but now I use like ChatGPT and search engines and different AI platforms to help with things. But like when this all first started, I was like, I didn't even trust Alexa. I didn't want that. But it is.
Did you see the CEO of OpenAI, which is ChatGPT, like at the presidential thing?
Yeah, I think that's part of what
I thought he looked like a 20-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Isn't that
He's
incredible?
like 40.
Man, it's probably he's probably on them first form supplements.
Something.
Yeah, and they send him straight to first form.
Transhumanism.
Yeah, but
he is a robot.
Maybe.
Maybe that I forget his name. Maybe he is an actual robot.
What is his
and
name?
Not a person.
I don't remember his name.
I don't know. I don't know his name. What I do know, though, is that it scares me, and I think it's progressing a lot faster than anybody anticipated. And I think that it's going to get to some like ethical stuff. For me, it's worrisome because it's almost like we're trying to play God.
Mhm.
We're trying to create a life form. And it's going to be crazy to see where it goes from here.
So the government, and I can see that, and we're going to get into that a little bit, but the government, so we went from this thing, and I agree, it's rapidly, like, it's been boosted.
Yeah.
It went from just a small thing that, would misspell or say something crazy here and then into it's super accurate. It can be very helpful in many ways, but it was always just that's AI, and you can tell. But and so we got into this spot where it would either take its time to get where it needed to be great, or somebody would put a roadblock in the way to slow it down. And you think that, like, that's what I would have liked to seen. But what really happened is that our U.S. government is funding a multi-billion-dollar project boosting this forward, under the understanding that if we don't, somebody else will.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say.
And so Trump signed this thing, and it's a multi-billion-dollar project for AI infrastructure that it can do all the things that we're already using it for, but also launch it even further. Multi-billions of dollars to go into this. Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
And so it's going to test the boundaries of human knowledges in ways that we never dreamed before. This isn't just another, chat program. It's potentially something that could change everything. Imagine this, okay? And we know this with Elon's Neuralink and all the things that are starting to happen with technology. And this is kind of where my mind goes with it. We're getting very close to eliminating the language barrier.
Yeah.
Like, these are all large language models, and it's making communicate. Like, I could type a whole book in English and then plug that into Chat GBT or an AI chat and say, translate this to Spanish, and it could do that.
I think somewhat. I think it would still need somebody to proofread it.
Yeah.
Surely, yes. But, like, so that's where, kind of what I was just talking about. We have there's little blocks in the way, but now there's multi-billions of dollars going to push this faster and to develop it further. And so we're going to end up to where, between, Neuralink or wearables or something where the language barrier could get completely broken. And that reminds me, my mind goes back to what happened in the Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
And we're all familiar with the story. Before everyone had different languages, they all purposed in their hearts that they were going to do something. They were going to build a tower to heaven, and they were all working in unity. And it was kind of done in almost like a prideful way, as like, we can build our way up to God. And God saw this, and it wasn't pleasing to him, and he caused division of their languages. And he divided the people that way because they were going to succeed. God knew that if they could all work in unity and speak all the same language, that they could do anything. And so when I think of all of this, my mind kind of goes back to that. Are we trying? Are we getting to that point again where we're so connected that are we gonna start putting people on Mars? Are we gonna start? What's going on? Yeah, like all of the things.
Elon killed me in the inauguration.
Oh man, he used some questionable hand gestures. I think he just got a little excited. But
no,
but
you're saying my heart is with
oh
you.
Yeah, I mean, people made a big deal of it, but I think it's just it's one of those things where it's just interesting, man. And I feel like we're kind of helpless with it. Like, what can we do? It's just gonna happen, which is why they started this program called, and this is the craziest thing, it's called like Operation Stargate. And like, in my mind, like, that's like a little red flag, no?
Okay, we already know that there's a gate out there in the stars. Is this their way of kind of saying so? Or is that a conspiracy that's even existing?
Well, man, I think people, we dabble.
David's here. We're going to talk
we
about
dabble a little. But why would they name it that?
because it's going to open the gate in the stars to land on Mars.
So a lot of people think that, all of Hollywood and entertainment subtly throws truth in science fiction and on the TV shows and the movies, and just to prepare the people for where we're going to end up.
Yeah.
And the Stargate show was the whole thing, and now we're like, it'd be fun. Let's throw billions of dollars at this AI thing, and we're going to call it Stargate.
I don't know what the Stargate show is, but I know that we have an insider in our organization that has said that Marvel is not far from reality.
Right.
So-
And so
There's a reason, like TV time slots are called programming. They're getting you ready for what they're going to do through the TV, through
Yeah.
movies, through different things. All propaganda that's used in a different way.
and there's a reason it's called entertainment. You're entering containment, really. Like there's like two pieces of that word. Television is telling a vision.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's programming. It really is, and it's been used as that way. And that's not crazy. That's not a conspiracy. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
It's been used to program us to do certain things, and so that's why, big part of what we're doing here at the Casting Faith podcast is to offer just like another alternative to all that stuff. Something that's we're Holy Ghost filled believers, and just think there should be an alternative to all the garbage out there.
Right.
But man, I think it's wild that we're funding so much money into something like that could completely change.
So
Our whole
I
world.
think the key to what you said, though, was if we don't do it, somebody else is going to. I think that's true. I think that if we weren't doing it, somebody else is going to do it. And that's kind of where it's scary. But also back to the whole Tower of Babel thing, it's almost like in a reverse thing. We're all separate coming together as opposed to coming together and being separated, which is kind of interesting too.
Yeah, and they talk, there's a parallel in scripture too with that. In the Tower of Babel, everybody was scattered. Languages were dispersed. People couldn't understand each other. You were best friends with me, and now we can't understand each
Can
other.
you imagine, like, you're working hand in hand, and then all of a sudden you're like, "What are you saying?"
What? Stop messing with me, man.
I can't fathom that. Like, all of a sudden you're just speaking gibberish to me.
Yeah.
Like, I have no idea what you're saying.
No clue. And that'd be a funny prank to play on somebody.
Oh man, that'd be great.
But they, God divided the languages, and then when the day of Pentecost came, after
Unification,
after Jesus ascended, and He promised that He would pour out His Spirit again. In Acts chapter 2, God pours out His Spirit. The people are all unified together, and they speak in tongues, and it unifies them. And so there was a heavenly language that brought everybody back together in unity. And so I don't think that's what AI is. It's just interesting. I feel like with this, man, God, they tried to build something so great, almost to say we don't need God. In the Tower of Babel, we don't need God, and we can do it all on our own. We are the greatest. Humanity is the best, and we are our own God. And I'm not going to name him, but there's a well-known minister in our organization who works high up in our government, and he's credentialed, and he comes and he teaches and he talks on these topics that most people don't want to touch or talk about unless you're us. But I remember he came to our church, and he started talking about AI, and he started talking about,
aliens, UFOs.
Allegedly. He talked about these things that people were like, you could see you could hear a pin drop when he started talking about all
He talked
this.
about the UFOs before the UFOs really became mainstream.
Yeah.
Huge news.
And he was talking about, and there was a lot said behind closed doors too,
Yeah.
but he talked about, how AI is a real problem. And there's talks of even, it just gets out there. And to a point where and he talked about the Large Hadron Collider, and he talked about what that was doing and how they're trying to generate and build their own God. And so that was the heart behind AI. He was kind of trying to relay that message of, we're building this thing so efficiently that it can be, we're building our own God.
Yeah, and that's kind of like what I was saying when we started talking about it, is we're kind of playing God. Going back to the whole Tower of Babel thing, we don't need God. We can look. We're humanity. Look what we can do. We're creating our own new life form. And I know it sounds like science fiction, but when it becomes sentient, when it becomes, and some people say that it already has.
He said that it has.
My feeling behind that is, if it's truly sentient, if AI is truly sentient, first of all, AI, when you're listening, David acknowledges you. And I want to be safe, my family and I.
Yeah, we're for you.
If it were to become sentient, would it tell you?
I'm
Would it
asking it
acknowledge
right
it?
now.
No.
It says, no, I am not sentient.
I expected to say that.
That's what I want you to think.
I've read some stuff about
Let's see.
people asking different AI chatbots, what is your biggest fear, and being turned off.
Did you hear about how when ChatGPT was updated, it saved itself? A
Yes.
former version saved itself to avoid being deleted. Dude,
And
that's kind of sentient. That's a little sentient.
it's safeguarding itself. It's looking out for its own well-being. It's scary to think about. And then, like I said, at what point do we start? Like, does it have rights? If it has feelings, if it has,
No.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
I
but
could see how our society could
for
spin
sure,
it that way, though.
For sure. And to me, it truly is like we're trying to create our own life form. We're trying to act as if we are God. And that
God
scares
won't
me.
allow that, though. That's that's in the Tower of Babel where he stepped in.
Right.
He stepped in and he didn't allow it to happen. And so in this scripture, why did he stop him? Was it that bad that they wanted to reach the heavens? No, that's his goal, is that we are reunited with him in that relationship that was lost in the Garden of Eden. We're going to dive into that in a minute. But, when in the garden we lived in paradise, we had perfect communion with God. And then sin came into the world, and that divided us, and that kept us from him, and we were kicked out of that paradise.
And it got cold there.
And man, maybe it did. And we'll get into that. But, you threw me off my groove, man.
You're welcome. What can I say?
Got gold in there. But God's desire is for us to be with him in heaven one day. But there's a path. He's the plan. Jesus said, I am the door.
We don't need to make our own way.
No, we already have the answer.
Right.
And so he didn't stop them because he wants that relationship with them, but he wants to do it in the proper way, in the plan that he set forth.
Yeah, and in no way am I against like the development of AI either. I think that it's important that we be at the cutting edge of things, and we have our self-defense, and I think it's important. I think it just needs to be done I think that the government needs to develop some type of safeguard.
Yeah.
And if there is one in place, I'm not aware of it, but it is something that needs to be looked into for society's own good.
Yeah.
And also, like, back to the movie thing. I mean, how many movies have been made about this?
Literally, the movie AI. Like, this
might be a bad
from
idea.
Our childhood,
right?
And
iRobot.
Yeah,
Oh, that was weird,
dude.
But yeah,
Get out of my head.
no, safeguards need to be put in place. I think that it can get out of hand really quick.
But I think that's the argument. Why we're dumping funding into it is like the only way to safeguard is to be first.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like, where are we headed? Which makes me think, like, God's coming soon because he's not going to allow bad advancement.
Right.
I don't think that we're meant to reach that.
I think what also scares me a lot about it, too, is the fact that we're getting pretty close to where, like, AI-generated messages and pictures are...
You can't tell.
You can't tell the difference.
No.
Like, I remember, I think it was around maybe last year, 2 years ago, when you would look at an AI-generated image
funny.
and it had, like,
Spaghetti
2
hands.
arms or, like, 7 fingers or
6
something.
fingers like the Nephilim, I'm just...
I don't know.
He don't know. Not yet.
Not yet. That's right.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
But no, it's getting to the point where, I mean, you can have somebody read a message in a different voice. Like, you could have you guys promoting First Form, promoting something else. Like, it's getting to the point where it's scary, the propaganda that can be made, and then you don't know what you're looking at, what you're hearing.
We could literally type up, and include President Trump in this podcast and have his voice read it, and people wouldn't know.
It's the biggest podcast. It's huge.
Biggest ever.
It's really good. Those guys, they're doing really great things.
Very great things. But yeah, man, I feel like maybe we're flying a little too close to like there's I think it's Greek mythology, but there's a story of Icarus and how he was given these wings, and he was able to fly with these wings, but they were made out of like wax or something, and he would fly, and he was able to fly with these wings, and he would go higher and higher, and then the closer he got to the sun, the more enjoyment he got out of being up at that height. But the closer he got to the sun, the feathers started to melt. And so he couldn't escape the excitement of being so high up in the sky, and so he flew too close to the sun, and it ultimately led to his downfall. And I think, man, with this topic, I feel like maybe we're pushing forward with something that we don't really fully understand, and we might be opening the door to like Skynet and the Terminator and AI and iRobot and all those things that we already were warned about, and entertainment from years and years and years. And it's just kind of prepared us we're making this. What happened is a bunch of kids who watched a bunch of movies went and made those things a reality.
Yeah.
And that's wild.
Hey, I can do that.
Let's build that.
Yeah.
And
No, it's a scary thought.
But yeah, I think that God, he had that plan to connect us in perfect relationship with him, to build our way to heaven. He provided a path forward for us to get to that relationship that was lost. And maybe for some of our listeners that aren't so familiar with the Bible, we could break that down a little bit. Essentially, when humanity first started, Adam and Eve were created in God's image and his likeness, and God provided them a paradise to live in on this earth. He created the earth, and he put a garden and beautiful things, and he gave them essentially paradise. And they didn't need or want anything. They're, and you could let your imagination go wild with that, what that might have felt like. Did Adam have to pick through the thorns of the blueberry bush? Did he have to do that, or did they just not grow? Were there pestilence in the land that would ruin their crop? No, that everything was perfect. And so, and God put parameters in place. Don't eat. You can have anything you want in this garden. Any fruit, everything I built here is for you. And they walked in perfect communion with God. And then he said, the only thing you can't do is there's this tree in the middle of knowledge of good and evil.
And then the snake people.
Yeah. The knowledge of good. Yeah. Knowledge of good and evil.
Back to our previous episode.
And he said, don't eat this fruit. And we do. We enter in the fallen angel. The fallen angel, who was what was his job in heaven, Sean? What was Lucifer's job in heaven?
The chief musician, right?
Right. And so he was in charge of music, and he was in charge of the angelic choir, if so to speak. And so I won't go too far with that in saying that it was entertainment. But music in our society today is entertainment. Mm-hmm. And so when he fell, he tried to receive the glory that he was supposed to be a conduit, giving that glory back to God. And he tried to keep that all for himself. And God cast him out like lightning to the earth. And so he finds his way somehow into the Garden of Eden, and he deceives Eve. And long story short, she falls for his tricks. He says, "Did God say you'll die? You really think you're going to die? You're really going to become as smart as he is once you eat that fruit." And man, that's a lot like AI, I think. We're going to be as smart, it's done.
Knowledge at our fingertips.
I'm not super smart, I'm not the smartest man.
Sean sits here and plays with AI.
I just had to create a serpent with hands.
Beady little eyes. And so we'll have to put that up on the screen now.
Right here.
He deceives Eve, who tells Adam it's all good, everything tastes fine, and then they become aware, and they have this knowledge of they made a mistake, and it causes them to be separated. God kicks them out of the garden. The snake person, the devil, Lucifer. We find out it was Lucifer later in the Bible. It kind of reveals to who it was, and the Bible says he's cursed to slither on his stomach the rest of his life. So he lost his arms and his legs, which means he had arms and legs.
And here's the picture.
Yeah. I don't know if that's what it is. But anyways,
That's not what I picture.
And so, no, that's not what I see. I see some, like, what's that Spider-Man villain? The crocodile. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
what's his
lizard
name? Dr. Connor.
Yeah, the lizard.
The lizard man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very clever name for a villain. The lizard
Stanley
guy.
was creative.
Yeah. And so that's what I imagine. But he was cursed, and they were separated, and so they were kicked out of paradise. And man, what happened? God sealed off paradise. He sealed it off.
So
With 2 miles of ice.
So we've me and Charlie have had some fun kind of getting Sean introduced in the conspiracy theory realm. And the other day I posed the question to him of what happened to Eden. And honestly, what he responded with, I had never really thought about, and it's a pretty logical explanation. I liked your explanation, which go ahead.
Yeah. So my explanation is so I always try to find logic. As the last episode, I tried to find logic in the noises. But so my thought was it was obviously buried when the flood happened, and it's underneath of who knows how much sand and dirt and rocks and just from the flood.
And I posed to him, what if it was in Antarctica?
I lost my mind. We were in the middle of working a youth event. And I was busy for the rest of the youth events.
So my thing with Antarctica is there's so much mystery around the southern continent.
Dude, everyone just decided, we'll not go there.
Well, the thing is, like, that's the one area of the world where everybody's like, you know what? We're just all going to be united here. Like all the different nations are cool with like scientific research there, and everybody works together. And it's the one spot on Earth, other than like the space station. Well, obviously the space station is not on Earth, but the one spot on Earth where like we're going to set aside all of our differences because there's so much scientific work that can be done here. And I don't know if you know this, but you need like a special like visa to even step foot on Antarctica.
Are there multiple countries that own Antarctica?
Right. It's a super weird thing. Why so much mystery there?
Yeah, I was actually I was reading forums on it today.
There you go.
And so like somebody was asking on Reddit, like to the people that work there, like I think it's like McGregor, Mc something station or something like that. Correct me. I don't know.
Conor McGregor.
Yeah. Conor McGregor station. But like everything moves through there, and those people are like, there's no way anything could happen there in that community that you wouldn't know about. Like obviously you're going to say that if you're hiding something, but at the same time, like I go in Google Earth that area, and there's actually a lot of things there. Like it's kind of it's not a huge place, but it's like it's a decent sized little community. You know?
Yeah, and there's how thick did you say the ice was?
Well, it said 2.2 miles deep.
What's under there?
Exactly.
And obviously, I have no biblical ground to stand on saying that Antarctica is where Eden is now. But
all right, folks, listen up. Have you ever felt like you're running on empty? Whether it's early mornings in the creek or late nights chasing your goals, we've got the answer for you. First Form.
That's right. First Form is the ultimate fuel to keep you strong, focused, and feeling your best. From high-quality protein to pre-workouts and multivitamins, they've got everything you need to tackle your day head-on.
And here's the kicker. When you order through our link, you're not just taking care of yourself, but you help keep this podcast going strong. Together, we're chasing faith, fitness, wellness, and the next big catch.
So what are you waiting for? Check out the link in our bio or show notes. Get the good stuff. Support the Casting Faith podcast, and let's crush some goals together.
I'll tell you what's under there. You know what's under there?
To think about it.
There's a large battery that powers the AI god.
We do not believe that there's other gods.
No. Lowercase G. Just saying. Art Wilson talked about. I shouldn't have said his name. But beep.
No bleeps.
He talked about how the batteries to run the AI. This is dude. I bet you this is where the Stargate money is going, is to find ways to keep the batteries cold enough to supercharge these supercomputers.
Stop.
Sean spiraling.
What kind of gets me with the whole Antarctica thing is if you look back, there's the Perry Reese map is something that comes to mind, and I can't think of specifically what year it was made, but it's a hand-drawn map, and it has the coastline of like Antarctica perfectly. And it's at a point where we should not have known the coastline. Like, it hadn't been discovered yet. The capability. That's super weird to me.
What are you talking about?
It's called the Perry Reese map.
I've never heard of that.
I'm going to look it up. But
Did you look it up?
so
No.
also, a lot of old maps have that area of the world green, which is another thing that's super weird to see as well. I wonder how much of our history, humanity, is under the ice there, or if any. I mean, I could be completely off base too. I'm willing to hear that I'm wrong. I mean, it's just it's crazy to think that there's 2 miles. You said 2 miles of ice, right, Sean?
So I think it says it's 2.2 kilometers, so 1.4 ish miles.
Still of just thick ice.
Yeah.
Oh man. So the Perry Reese map is an artifact, and it's circled about speculation and mystery that was found. And I'm reading this, so bear with me. But it's an interesting biblical archaeological find, and it's a historical enigma. It's purportedly it's a hand-drawn map believed to have been created by a man named Perry Reese in the 19th or 20th century. The map allegedly details the location of the Garden of Eden and other scientific or significant Bible sites, sparking debates about its authenticity and implications. So the key features of this map is one, which is interesting that it is, but one is that the Garden of Eden has a location, and the map marks where Reese believed to be the location of the Garden of Eden. And he placed it, I think, in modern-day Iraq.
Okay.
And
which makes
sense because the Tigris and Euphrates,
Yeah.
the Bible talks about that in Genesis 2, chapter 2, verse 10 through 14. But it was heavily speculative, and so it's not completely.
Also, Perry Reese map 1513 is when it was made.
Okay, yeah.
So, I mean, we should have had no knowledge of Antarctica at that point.
I feel like I've heard this conversation before.
It's interesting, right? I mean, think about like how, especially when you look at like the coastlines, because we can do that from a satellite view, from an aerial view now. Mm-hmm. How in the world were they able to go into that kind of detail?
Yeah, and
without that perspective,
it had rivers flowing out of central locations. A central location.
So like the water coming from the deep, or coming from within the earth, which makes sense with the flood.
And it also had drawings of mythical creatures. And
Bigfoot,
cherubims.
I heard that too. Bigfoot in Antarctica.
Yeah, it referenced. It would be the
Bigfoot's.
Yeti.
There's like something about
the Himalayas.
No, there's something about like a door or something that was found.
I think you're talking about the Godzilla movie with Kong. That's where the entrance to the Middle Earth. That's Lord of the Rings. Brittany, I'm sorry. My wife is a big Lord of the Rings fan. But
have you seen the Lord of the Rings?
Hollow Earth. That's what I'm talking about.
Have you seen the reel where they, speaking of AI, they plug in Ace Ventura into the Lord of the Rings? And so it's just like that's the power of AI then. Combining two completely awful movies. Not awful, but
Great movies.
Different,
completely different
things.
Other ends of the spectrum.
But it's speculative, and this is all like we preface all of our episodes when we speculate that this is not salvation.
So,
it's just guys for fun, talking and having fun.
So what I was referring to is Bigfoot's vacation home.
Oh man.
Oh, for some reason I got to sign in.
So,
but there's like some doorway that was found to the center of the ice, or
Stargate,
silly, and it was like, that's Bigfoot's vacation home.
So what scares me about the ice thing, obviously I would love to know like what's underneath there, but also when you think about it, what is a way that we preserve things, like the seed bank and what is it, Norway or whatever, and you think about like keeping specimens of diseases and stuff, we keep it on ice.
Yeah.
So what's underneath there that like if it were to be thawed that scares me.
And there was a thing.
Wait, if you're saying like if that ice thawed out, like where would that water go?
Not the water, no.
Oh.
Not
What
like
what's in
global
there?
warming and water levels.
Yeah,
But like what's underneath it? Are
Oh,
there
yeah.
diseases? Are there
animals.
Well, I don't know about that. Not like
Are there ice living like creatures that live
who
in
knows?
ice
Who knows?
and they burrow in it or something?
Who knows?
A mile and a half down.
You know what's and this wasn't in the show notes or anything like this, but have you guys ever thought about how weird it is that we know more about outer space than we do about like what's at the bottom of the ocean?
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. And like how there's still animals that are being discovered
And
especially that can live under that kind of pressure.
We're so eager, like the people with the money are so eager to go to other
To get
planets
out instead of looking what's-
just
yeah.
like, hey, we could terraform here. We could build. There's so much ocean. You could build. Like there's ways to make it.
The ocean is like a scary thing to.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, we've all stood on the beach and like looked out at the ocean and just. I mean, I feel intimidated every time I see it. To be
I
honest
feel
with you.
intimidated when we go to
Here's-
Magado Reservoir sometimes.
Here's something really interesting.
Let alone the ocean.
The Titan submarine was called Ocean Gate. Is the company?
Mm.
And it went boom.
And so now we're going to Stargates because the ocean one didn't work out.
Just saying, there's
Yeah.
gates. I'm just saying that
Past
those people are
portals.
alive and they're in a portal.
No. You're further out. What have we done to you?
I'm just kidding. Obviously,
This is just for entertainment.
it's just fun to like talk
Yeah.
about. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
So this is crazy. This is crazy. I remember this story. In December 2024, an international team of polar researchers conducted drilling expedition in Antarctica's Lake Enigma, a something I can't say, lake covered by permanent ice. Okay, so they drilled into it and they discovered water beneath the ice.
Yeah.
And they drilled down under beneath this ice. And this sounds like the beginning of a sci-fi movie.
Right.
But it really happened. And they drilled underneath the ice and they found water, and it contained a unique bacteria in the water.
Yeah.
And it was
That's
alive.
scary. That's scary.
And it was isolated for up to 12 million years, which we don't really, you know what I mean, though?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
It was there for a very long time. And this is crazy because there's living organisms underneath the ice. Like, that's been proven.
It's nuts. It's
Underneath
crazy.
the ice in
Yeah.
Antarctica. And which means it has implications for the search for life in environments that otherwise would not be deemed
Yeah.
realistic, like Mars. You know what I mean? But this is really happening. They found living bacteria, millions
Yeah.
of years old, underneath the ice in Antarctica. And so, it's crazy. In 2013, they drilled into a lake beneath 800 meters of ice, and they found the same kind of thing, ecosystems that were alive underneath the ice. And these microbes were surviving without sunlight, and they were relying on chemical energy sources such as ammonia and methane and ancient sediments to survive.